This is not DJI, but Feiyutech's new, but confusingly with the same name, Pocket 2. And let's see if it's any good. Welcome to RED35. If you're a content creator or a casual home video guy who loves to capture a few clips here and there during your travel or kids event, then you may have heard of tech like this, a tiny gimbalized video camera. Right, ever since DJI made the very first pocket camera back in 2019, it has created a very niche market. But within 2 years, there are at least 5 companies making very similar products. And I haven't even mentioned those in Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Last year, DJI released the Pocket 2. And of course, this means that we should be expecting the second generation of these popular video cameras. And here we are, Feiyutech's new Pocket 2. And just before I continue, this is not a paid review or a sponsored video. Feiyutech did send me this pre-production sample to test, so I can share my thoughts with them for further development. But I'm allowed to make a video and highlight a few and notable features so you can get to know firsthand about this brand new pocket video camera. While many people are going cost-saving path by using plastic for their products, I'm glad to see Feiyutech goes the opposite direction. The new Pocket 2 is made entirely with metal, and that includes the lens housing and gimbal arms. So it feels premium. There aren't many buttons on the unit, a power button on the side, a 4-way joystick that you can also press, and a record button. And all of them are very responsive and well damped, so you don't feel spongy when you press them. The Pocket 2 isn't weather sealed, but nothing similar on the market is anyway. However, the exposed USB-C port and memory card slot may not inspire confidence when you use it on a sandy beach. But overall, the Pocket 2 is very well put together, and it seems built to last. Handling is one of the greatest assets of Pocket 2. When the set is tiny, it's about the same size as your travel toothpaste. Weight in at 127 grams, it's not the lightest on the market, but still light enough to be categorized as pocketable. If you like to film yourself walking around in the city, you will love how the Pocket 2 feels. It's easy to hold with this stub handle, and the lightweight means that your arm won't get achy after a day use. Speaking of the handle, well, it feels fine with my small hand, but you may want to add a mini tripod leg to extend it for better grip. Oh yes, there is a 1/4 inch thread at the bottom, so you can mount it on a tripod. But overall, handling is great. To compete in this crowded market, Feiyutech needs a killer feature. Well, it has. Feiyutech has done something no one has done so far, putting a magnet in the body, so you can attach the Pocket 2 to a steel metal surface. Well, the magnet is very strong and feels secure enough to leave it unattended if you want to put it somewhere to film. However, you can only use the magnet if the camera is above the metal surface, and this is because the gimbal arm is not flush to the back of the body, so you can't simply slap it on the flat metal surface, and you will have to make sure the gimbal arm is not obstructed. Oh, by the way, the one I have here is only one of the 2 new models Feiyutech is releasing. There's another model, the Pocket 2S, that allows you to actually take the camera unit out away from the main body. Weird it seems, but I'm sure someone will have the use for it. Because this is essentially a camera on gimbal, it has all the same usual modes: full follow, normal follow, and pan. There's a selfie mode which turns the camera around, but instead of triple pressing the joystick or button, you will need to access it via the menu. Similar can be said with most of the settings, but what I like about it is the ability to digitally zoom via the touchscreen by swiping up and down on the right. You can also choose to use the full angular view or 2 crop mode, essentially giving you an ultra wide, wide, and narrow look to your video. As said, these are digital crop and not optical. Let's talk about tracking. Okay, there are 2 options here. First is tracking via the unit itself. Simply by enabling tracking in the menu, Pocket 2 will recognize the closest face it can find and stick with it. Well, at least in theory, because I find that in my pre-production sample unit here, the face tracking isn't sticky at all. If I move a little quicker, the Pocket 2 will lose me. Same thing if I'm backlit. Somehow the camera won't see my face if the sun is behind me. But there's a solution, but you would need to connect your Pocket 2 to your smartphone. Once paired with Feiyutech's app, you can access subject tracking. On the smartphone screen, all you need to do is to draw a box on the subject you want to track and press record. I find this normal subject tracking mode is way more reliable and quicker. Strangely, these two modes are independent and separate. I wish that both modes are available in both the unit itself as well as in the app. But like I said, my Pocket 2 is still a pre-production sample, so both of these tracking modes can improve significantly by the time it goes on sale. Lastly, you can't call it a camera without taking photos, right? Yes, the Pocket 2 can take 12 megapixel stills in both JPEG and DNG RAW. Handy if you want a few snaps on the way. If you are more of a creative type, there are also panorama, motion time-lapse and hyperlapse too. In the end, Feiyutech's Pocket 2 is gunning towards videographers, so video spec is very important. The good thing is that the Pocket 2 can shoot at higher bitrate than DJI's version. At 120 megabits per second is better than most cameras on the same class. But bitrate is one thing. The video quality has been offset by the size of the sensor, which is slightly smaller than DJI at 1/2.3 inch compared to 1/1.7. As I've never used the original Pocket, or any Pocket from any brand, but for my research and some quick comparison from the original videos, I find the Pocket 2 is better. In fact, much better with more details in its 4K mode. The Pocket 2 video spec is very 2021. It can capture Full HD or 1080, 2.7K and 4K resolution, with all the usual frame rates too, from cinematic 24 frame all the way to 60 frames per second in any resolutions, and you can also capture 120 frame slow-mo, but it's restricted to 1080 only. Well, this is one department I think Feiyutech needs to improve. The built-in mic isn't great at all. Well, especially for its intended purposes. Unless the sound source is very close to the Pocket 2, the resulting sound can be very muffled. While I think the Pocket 2 is a great vlogging tool, but even at arm length distance, the mic is very muted. By comparison, any modern digital camera's built-in mics are far more superior in that regard.
Stabilization is actually pretty impressive. I'm literally just holding it like this, that's where the camera is at the moment. And, I'm not actually holding with any care whatsoever. I'm just basically walking around without any ninja walk whatsoever. So it's actually pretty good.
But Feiyutech did tell me that they do have a proprietary audio adapter, allowing you to attach a dedicated mic for better sound. But unfortunately, I don't have one to test, so I can't confirm the audio quality with that option. Well, to be frank, I've never used a pocket video camera like this, but I do know many solo content creators, travelers who use this type of camera to record their journey. So during my review, I find myself using it more often than not, especially when I'm out and about. Of course, I can use my phone to do similar thing, but it's not stabilized, so I have to use a separate gimbal. And of course, I can use my Osmo Action, which I can use it to achieve, again, similar results, and it's weatherproof too. But I don't like the handling as it needs a separate handle to do the same thing. Therefore, the Pocket 2 somehow hits the sweet spot for situations like this, casual videoing. Remember, this is not a dedicated video camera, so it's not for serious work anyway, but for anything else, it totally makes sense. The fact that Feiyutech has managed to keep the metal housing and adding that useful magnet, I would totally recommend this unit to anyone who are looking for a fun video camera to capture their daily lives. Oh, please remember to fix that tracking in audio and it will be a more complete camera than it is. And I'm sure a firmware can fix that. We've reached the end of this video, and what do you think about this tiny camera? Do you own the original or use similar camera from other brands? Let's have a chat. Now you know what to do. Thumb if you enjoyed this review and sub if you want to stay in touch with photography and video tags. And of course, Olympus. Peace!
Moon.